The ranch was dying. The wheat fields that once promised prosperity now threatened ruin. Debts were piling up, workers were quitting, and one failed harvest would cost rancher Ethan Walker everything he had spent a lifetime building. So when a young Swedish girl stepped off a wagon asking for work, Ethan saw only an extra pair of hands. He never imagined she would become the reason his ranch survived. He never imagined she would challenge every assumption he held about strength, courage, and leadership. And he certainly never imagined that years later, people would still tell the story of how one determined young woman changed the fate of an entire ranch. But before we discover how she did it, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more unforgettable Wild West stories filled with courage, hope, and heart. The summer sun hung low over the frontier valley, casting golden light across endless wheat fields. The crops swayed gently in the warm breeze like waves on a golden ocean. Beyond the fields stood weathered barns, long wooden fences, and rugged mountains that guarded the horizon. Normally, the sight filled Ethan Walker with pride. This year it filled him with worry. Standing outside his ranch house, Ethan studied the fields with folded arms. The harvest was approaching fast. Too fast. Several workers had left for better-paying ranches. Equipment needed repairs. Supplies were running low. Worst of all, the bank had given him one final deadline. If this harvest failed, he would lose everything. Ethan removed his hat and rubbed a tired hand across his face. At 38, years of hard labor had carved deep lines into his weathered features. Every fence post, every barn, every acre of wheat represented years of sacrifice, and now it all seemed ready to slip away. A cloud of dust appeared near the entrance road. A small wagon approached slowly. Ethan frowned. Visitors were rare. The wagon stopped near the ranch house. An older couple climbed down first. Then a young woman stepped onto the ground. She couldn't have been older than 23. She carried a small suitcase and wore a simple travel dress covered in road dust. Golden blonde hair escaped beneath her bonnet. Despite the long journey, her blue eyes remained bright and determined. The older man introduced her. "This is Anna Lindstrom. She came from Sweden looking for work." Ethan glanced at the young woman. Work. The ranch barely had enough money to hire experienced men. The idea seemed ridiculous. Before he could speak, Anna stepped forward. "I hear you need harvest workers." Her English carried a soft accent. Ethan nodded cautiously. "I can help." Ethan looked her up and down. The statement seemed impossible. Harvest work was brutal. The summer heat alone broke stronger people than her. "You ever worked a wheat field?" he asked. Anna nodded. "My father's farm in Sweden." Ethan wasn't convinced. Swedish farms and frontier ranches were two very different things. "This work isn't easy." Her expression never changed. "I didn't travel across an ocean looking for easy." The answer surprised him. The older couple smiled knowingly before climbing back into their wagon. Apparently they had already learned something Ethan had not. The young woman standing before him possessed a determination that couldn't be measured by appearance. Reluctantly, Ethan offered temporary employment. 1 month, just until the harvest ended. That afternoon Anna joined the workers in the fields. Most of the men exchanged skeptical glances. Several laughed quietly. They expected her to quit before sunset. By midday she was still working. By evening she had outworked half the crew. The laughter disappeared. Over the next several days, Anna continued proving everyone wrong. She rose before dawn, worked until dark. Never complained, never asked for special treatment. Slowly the ranch hands began respecting her. Ethan noticed something else. She paid attention. While others focused only on their assigned tasks, Anna observed everything. The fields, the equipment, the storage barns, the irrigation systems. It was as if she were studying the ranch itself. One evening, Ethan found her standing near a section of wheat damaged by poor watering. "What are you looking at?" he asked. Anna pointed toward the irrigation ditch. "The water isn't reaching evenly." But Ethan shrugged. "That's how it's always been." Anna smiled slightly. "My father used to say those are dangerous words." "What words?" "That's how it's always been." Ethan crossed his arms. "You think you know better?" "No." Her answer surprised him. "I think there might be a better way." That night Ethan couldn't stop thinking about the conversation. The ranch was struggling. The harvest looked uncertain, yet somehow the young Swedish worker seemed completely unafraid. As days passed, he found himself watching her more closely. Not because she was different, because she was effective. Where others saw problems, she searched for solutions. Where others complained, she got to work. And for the first time in months, Ethan felt something he hadn't felt in a very long time. Hope. He didn't know it yet. But the Swedish girl he hired for a single harvest was about to change far more than a wheat field. She was about to change the future of the entire ranch. As harvest season drew closer, the pressure on Ethan grew heavier every day. The wheat fields looked promising, but one problem remained. The ranch was wasting precious water. Several sections of the crop were drying out while others received too much irrigation. Most ranchers accepted it as bad luck. Anna did not. One evening she approached Ethan carrying a rough sketch she had drawn after work. "I think we can fix the problem," she said. Ethan examined the paper. Anna had redesigned parts of the irrigation system, creating channels that would distribute water more evenly across the fields. "You came up with this?" he asked. Anna nodded. "My father used a similar system during dry seasons." Although skeptical, Ethan was running out of options. He finally agreed to try her idea. For the next week, workers dug new channels under Anna's direction. Some doubted her plan, but Anna worked harder than anyone, earning their trust. Then something remarkable happened. The struggling sections of wheat began to recover. Fields that had been turning brown became healthy and green again. Even the oldest ranch hands admitted they had never seen improvements happen so quickly. For the first time all season, optimism returned to the ranch. One afternoon, Ethan stood beside Anna overlooking the golden fields. "You may have saved this harvest," he admitted. Anna smiled. "No, we saved it." The answer stayed with him. She never sought praise. She cared only about helping the ranch succeed. As the harvest finally began, wagons filled with wheat rolled steadily toward the barns. Day after day, the yields exceeded expectations. The workers celebrated. The ranch was producing more grain than anyone had predicted, and Ethan slowly realized something important. The Swedish girl he had hired as temporary help had become the most valuable person on the ranch. More importantly, she had given everyone something they desperately needed, a reason to believe the future could still be brighter than the past. But neither Ethan nor Anna knew that an even greater challenge was waiting just ahead, one that would determine the fate of the ranch forever. Just as the harvest reached its peak, dark clouds gathered over the valley. A powerful storm was approaching. If heavy rain struck before the wheat was collected, months of hard work could be destroyed in a single night. Panic spread among the workers. Some believed it was impossible to save the remaining fields in time. But Anna refused to give up. "We still have time," she said firmly. Her confidence inspired everyone. Through long days and sleepless nights, the workers pushed forward. Anna worked beside them from sunrise until darkness, loading wagons, organizing crews, and encouraging exhausted hands. Ethan watched in amazement. He had hired a worker. Instead, he had found a leader. The storm finally arrived, but thanks to Anna's planning and determination, most of the harvest was already safe inside the barns. Rain pounded the fields all night. The next morning, Ethan rode out to inspect the damage. To his relief, the harvest had survived. The ranch was saved. Standing in the golden sunlight after the storm, Ethan realized the truth. Without Anna, he would have lost everything: the ranch, his livelihood, his future. And for the first time, he understood that the greatest blessing to arrive that year had not been the harvest itself. It had been the Swedish girl who never stopped believing there was a way forward. A few weeks later, the final numbers were counted. The harvest had been the most successful Ethan Walker had seen in years. The debts were paid. The bank withdrew its threats. The ranch that had stood on the edge of ruin now had a future again. That evening, the workers gathered near the barn for a celebration. Laughter echoed across the ranch as lanterns glowed beneath the stars. Ethan stood and raised a glass. "I thought I hired Anna to help save a harvest," he said. Everyone grew quiet. He looked toward the young Swedish woman, but she ended up saving far more than that. Anna smiled shyly. Ethan continued. She brought hard work when we were tired, hope when we were discouraged, and solutions when we thought there were none. The workers applauded. Many nodded in agreement. They had all witnessed what Anna had done. Later that night, Ethan and Anna stood overlooking the vast golden fields. The wheat shimmered beneath the moonlight while the mountains stood silently in the distance. When I arrived, Anna said softly, "I only wanted a chance." Ethan smiled. "And you changed everything." For a moment neither spoke. They simply admired the ranch that now had a future because one determined young woman refused to accept defeat. Years later, people would still tell the story. Not about the biggest harvest, not about the profits, but about the Swedish girl who arrived as hired help and became the reason an entire ranch survived. Because sometimes the person who changes your life arrives carrying nothing more than courage, determination, and a belief that things can be better. If you enjoyed this Wild West story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with friends. More emotional frontier adventures are waiting for you. He hired a Swedish girl for the harvest. She changed the fate of his ranch.